Hi there, I'm Dan Wooding, and I'd like to welcome you to Windows on the World. This is the second part of a two-part series with our wonderful guest, Robert Schuller, and his lovely wife, Donna. But I would be amiss if I didn't welcome Dr. Gary Ansdell, the senior pastor of Hosanna Christian Fellowship in Bellflower. And in the first program, Robert, we talked quite a lot about your life and how you met Donna. But I was astonished to learn that you now live part-time on a boat down at the far end of the Baja California Peninsula. Tell us about that and why you started that. I mean, here you were preaching to millions at the Hour of Power, and now, I don't know how big your audience is, but why did you start it? And tell us a little bit about what happens.
Well, at the tip of Baja California is this little community called Los Cabos. And my father and I started going down there in the 70s when there was nobody there. There was no hotels. There was nothing there. And the only way to get down there it was either by boat, a dirt road, 1,000-mile dirt road, or bush planes. And so we had friends who brought us down there in the I guess it would be the early 70s, like 74 was our earliest time down there, and we would land on these dirt strips and hop on a boat and we'd fish, because it's the best fishing in the world as far as I'm concerned. I fished all over the place, and it's still just, I haven't found any place that's better yet.
Yeah.
And so in 86, the two of us went together and bought a small boat and took it down there and enjoyed it down there. And then we upgraded to a little larger boat in these are fishing boats. They're not yachts, they're just fishing boats. And so then in 95 we got a little larger boat and took it down there. And then when he passed away, I bought it. Or actually, before he passed away, I bought it from him, and so it's been part of my culture forever. It was my memories with my dad. It's one of the things we did together.
And so you started a church down there, I understand.
Well, there's a lot of expats down there.
Yeah.
A lot of people who've moved down there. In fact, if you want a nice retirement, it's a lot nicer. You'll have a much nicer retirement down there. Yeah. You can buy a beachfront condo for a couple $100,000. Wow. And you can retire down there. And if you need people to care for you because you need assistance, you can get people the best care you can get for $50 a day, as opposed to up here it's like $50 an hour. And so you can actually live on your Social Security down there.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people do.
And you can enjoy it down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of people do that.
So where do you meet then? Do you meet in the open air or what?
No, we meet whenever we can get down there. So a couple Sundays a month, we send an email to everybody saying we're going to be here on this day and this day, and we come down and we gather together in this upper room. And we have a television there, and we play some praise music. Donna pulls up the praise music.
I'm now a music minister.
So we'll have the maximum we'll have is maybe 15 people. And we'll just have some praise songs together.
Sweet.
And we pray, and I give a little. We sit in a circle, and I sit in my chair.
You don't wear your robes or anything?
No. But we'll have communion once in a while.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about different events and the church calendar and why they're the way they are. Like,
and do you have a name
Ash
for
Wednesday.
the group?
It's called The Gathering.
The Gathering. Okay.
Gathering. And I think one thing important to point out is that even though we don't, we're not trying, we just fell into this. It's sort of, I like to look at it as the church in Acts. It's very organic.
Yeah.
Robert and I go out 2 by 2,
Yeah.
you know. We empower others to do the same thing. In fact, we have one couple that started at the gathering about 3 years ago now, and they've since gone out themselves and formed this coalition with a couple of other charities. And when we were there last month, they invited us to go out on this boat that they had sponsored. It was a large, like a pirate ship boat, kind of a tourist thing to do. And they took out all these special needs children, and I mean severely special.
Yeah.
You know, they're pretty severe. They're kids that are suffering from cancer and congenital abnormalities that they were born with. So their families are down there, and our friends, because they started coming to the gathering. I'm not taking credit for it. I'm not saying it's because we're great. I'm just saying we somehow empowered them. So it's just like I said, it's like the apostles going out in 2 by 2, and you go and you stay in somebody's home, and then we show up and we have prayer time, or we go out to dinner with these people, or we visit older people that are down there that can no longer go to church. So it's pretty amazing what's happening. We've actually had we've had up to 70 people come through our doors, if you will, since we've been meeting this way in the last 4 years. Actually a little over 4 years. And some of the people are transients. They're coming through. It's what they call a drop-off point for sailboaters that are going out to the South Pacific or coming back. At the drop-off point, meaning it's the first day they've seen land in a couple of months.
So sailboats coming in from Fiji, for instance.
Yes. We've had amazing stories.
That's what we mean.
Amazing.
There's nothing between Fiji and Los Cabos.
Oh, what a journey.
So we've prayed with families, and actually missionary families, before they've left to go on mission, just because we're there, we're present, and just we're available wherever the Lord leads us. And we've also prayed for people. I mean, we know this couple, just a harrowing event. Her husband was knocked down off the sailboat in the middle of the ocean twice.
The sailboat
and
was
almost died.
laying on its side.
Yeah. For 2 months she went on like this, and they ended up in our harbor, and we see him and we're like, hey, do you need prayer?
Yeah, really?
You know, so God.
Yeah, you think?
Yes.
What did the locals make of you? I mean,
we have a very interesting way of greeting people on the dock and breaking the ice. We give them welcome margaritas. And that's the way we open it up. And the way we got started was there was, like, we knew of another couple, and we knew of 2 other couples who and ourselves who didn't know where to worship.
Yes.
So we said, well, let's just get together in the park.
We did start in the park.
So we started in the park.
Outside.
And at the foot of this magnificent artistic cross on top of the hill. When I say magnificent, it's 100 feet high, and it's probably. It's made out of all. It's magnificent. It is 100 feet high.
I think. Oh yeah,
steel.
for sure. I'm just thinking,
And
how
it's
wide
magnificent.
is it? How wide is the arms of the cross?
But anyway, so we would meet underneath this cross, and God gave us this one crazy song. What's that? I'm standing before the cross. Something like that.
Yeah, we had that as our sort of our theme song for a while.
Wonderful.
And we have to be careful on Facebook, church. You know, you're not allowed to use any of that music.
Oh.
I don't know if you know that. On Facebook, you got to be careful. They'll take it down.
For copyright.
Yeah, for copyright stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So.
You have a ministry at Robert Schuller Ministries.com?
Yes.
It's actually .org. Our ministries is, I think it was, Robert Schuller Inspiration.com is under the umbrella of Robert Schuller Ministries. That's our kind of our teaching arm, if you will, where we
So
deliver.
if somebody was going to get your teaching, what would they go to? Which one?
The best place to get my teaching is to go to Robert Schuller Ministries Facebook.
Okay.
I do that every Sunday morning at 8 a.m.
Okay.
California time.
California Pacific time.
You do it from your home or what?
I do it from
Wherever we
wherever
are.
I am.
Yeah.
So I was driving down the Baja Peninsula, and we were in Baja California Sur, at a little community or town called. No, we were in Constitucion.
Okay.
And Bahia de Constitucion. And I just said, hey, it's 8 o'clock, pull over, John. We pulled over. I set up my tripod. I had my I had phone service, and I hit start, and
you can hear trucks going by, and
we had a 20-minute message.
Yeah,
That's a new world.
And you can see it there.
it's a new world.
We've done it in the Philippines.
We've done it in the Philippines. We've done it in Washington, D.C.
I've done it in
We've done it in
Philadelphia, Korea, wherever we are.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, the technology today, that you can do that.
It is.
You have this studio here, and the bishop has, I forget how many, it looks like he has about 20 studios all over the world.
Yeah.
And I have a studio, and my studio's in my pocket. It's called iPhone 6. And that's my studio. And I do all my recording with my iPhone 6, and I download it upload it to
He even knows how to edit
computer
now.
and edit
the things we
everything.
got to learn when we get older. It's like, I
So
can't
that's-
with technology. I don't want to learn
That's-
anymore.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Ray Comfort did a full-length documentary with his iPhone. You know,
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
released
Yeah.
movie. It's amazing what
It's
you can do.
it is.
Sure can.
It's
So,
amazing.
Donna, what is the ministry you're involved with now?
Well, we partner. We are co-founders of the Robert Schuller Ministries, which I still do my nutrition. That's probably what you remember. I'm a certified nutritional coach, but I learned many years ago that the nutrition isn't just what you put in your mouth. It's what you put in your head, what you put in your heart, and your soul. And I quickly learned to integrate this all into our greater ministry, because people would come to me and say, oh gosh, I just need to lose weight, and I have an eating problem. But you know what?
There's a bigger problem.
At the very first 30 minutes of talking to him, I'd say, no, what about your home life? What about your family life? What about, no, this is what about your life? How do you feel about the Lord? How's your relationship with God? And I soon realized that this is a huge, big problem, and most everything starts from the soul.
Yeah, right.
Most soul injuries will cause emotional
All the rest of
injuries,
it.
and then they cause physical manifest themselves in physical ways, and a lot of it has to do with eating. Eating is something that we have to do, and eating, that's a whole other subject, the addiction, food addiction. But there's a lot of people that are too heavy. There's a lot of people that are too thin. There's people that just don't know how to eat right. God says to honor this, the temple of the Holy Spirit, that He lives in us. So if He lives in us, then we need to honor this body, because guess what? This is the only physical body we're ever going to get. Right? We'll live on spiritually, but this is it.
Well, I read a groundbreaking, revolutionary concept that appeared last week in the New York Times on health and wellness.
Oh, this is groundbreaking. I can tell these.
Yeah, and what it said was that dieting is not the best way to lose weight. It said you need to change your eating habits.
Ta-da! Wow! Such a great discovery.
I was just dumbfounded, like, really?
I love to hear what you said about nutrition, the whole thing, because when I counsel, one of the first things I say is your body, soul, and spirit. So let's go through all three, because if you just stop at one, you miss the, what's causing the other, or what's being covered by the other.
Right.
And the bottom line is being born again, but after that, there's still all the issues of your life you got to deal with.
That's exactly right.
So that's good.
Exactly.
I love that,
we see eye to eye
so much
on
of the
that.
nutrition is just it's
the
focused
whole
on
thing.
just that, and it's missing the point.
Exactly. Exactly.
The other thing that really interested me is that you're both peace activists, and Gary can maybe just share with you
I'd
briefly what he does.
Love to hear.
Ambassadors for Peace, and then maybe you could share how
Sure.
you're involved.
Absolutely.
Be great.
So can you tell them a little bit about
Right after 9/11, I thought, what happened to the world? And some people were saying bomb all the Muslims, and the other people said, no, we all believe in the same God. I thought these things could not be both true. What do you do? And so I met with a friend of mine, Emil Haddad, and he explained to me
a Jordanian Christian.
Yeah, and he explained to me more about the Middle East and about Islam and all of that. And so I said, well, there's got to be a solution to this that isn't ecumenical. So I read the Constitution. I've read it before, but I read it, and I thought, what's missing is the Bill of Rights. So I read the Bill of Rights, and I thought, that's what needs to be under Article 18 of the United Nations for freedom of religion, because in Saudi Arabia, freedom of religion is choose which sect of Islam you're going to believe, but real freedom of religion. So I wrote a document called the Religious Rights Resolution that doesn't pinpoint any religion, but talks about individual rights, which is the difference between the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. One's corporate and the other's individual, right?
Right.
So I wrote it based upon that, and then we just called it Ambassadors for Peace, and just prayed, okay, Lord, where do you want us to go? Quite frankly, we went to a lot of the churches, the bigger churches in the areas, and they were like, oh, yeah, that's great, we'll incorporate it. I thought, no, that'll kill it. It's
Right.
bigger than that.
Right.
So God bless them. But
We
so
get
we
that.
backed off and we said, Lord, where do you want us to go? And he said, go to the biggest problem area. So we went to Morocco, Laayoune, Bahrain, Dubai, Syria, Egypt, and the Lord opened the doors for us to meet with the leaders in all of those, the religious leaders. I met with Haman, the top imam to the president in Syria, to the leaders of the universities in Indonesia.
Egypt as well.
And in Egypt. In Egypt, Sheikh Mohammed Tintawi, the head of 760 million Muslims. Wow. His equal would be the Pope, right? And he spent 2 hours with us and had the document signed in the name of the Institute that Abides Forever under Islam, the Sunnis. And what it does essentially is it gives everybody, regardless of the religion, whether it's a Dalit or a cult or a Christian or an atheist, to make up their own mind and have the freedom documented in writing that they can choose a religion or leave a religion.
And share a religion as well.
And share a religion.
Without getting killed.
So
Wow.
after it was signed and Egypt fell and became under the power of the Brotherhood and then got reversed after that, the document has been used for people that were Muslims to get their ID changed to Christian in the Supreme Court and get it allowed. In Morocco, they now have not just biblical, religious studies where they're allowed to read the Bible and study it.
Wow.
And the reason
That's
being
deep.
because they say, well, we've signed this. This is our agreement. You stay out of it. Same thing in Indonesia. The first time in history that they ever had a Christian speak at their university. First time.
Because they're allowed to now.
Because they all agreed.
That's
What
awesome.
it is, it's
That's
talking to real
fantastic.
people about real issues. And I know that's where you guys are both
Wow.
at.
Yeah.
And saying, forget everybody else. What do you guys want?
Yeah, we've been twice
And, yeah.
together to Indonesia
That's
now.
Yeah.
wonderful.
And it's been very interesting to sit around a table with, Muslims of different stripes
And Catholics and Jews. The Jewish court now uses it in Morocco
Yeah.
to work with issues.
So tell us about your involvement with peace activism.
Yeah.
Maybe Donna first and then Robert.
Well, yeah, we've been involved with the Global Peace Foundation since, it'll be our 9th year now. And basically,
Started in 2008.
We started in
what do they do?
2008.
December 2008.
It's an international interfaith, privately owned, but now privately and publicly funded, but privately funded, excuse me. And it's a not-for-profit started by a Korean American gentleman that asked Robert to get involved with him. Actually, coincidentally, when Robert was still the senior pastor at the Crystal Cathedral, and Robert was like, I'm just way too busy. I mean, God bless you. I'll pray for you. And then, in 2008, we decided to take them up. We went to Brazil and said, well, let's go see what this is about. This is interfaith. This is about creating peace among religions in the world. And it very soon became clear to us that one of the main goals of this organization was to have a peaceful reunification of the South and North Korea.
Yeah.
And so we've been working very hard on this issue. We go to Korea a lot, and my husband can tell you a little bit more about that. And then there's some things that we do in the U.S. too that has to do with the Constitution and protecting our rights, religious freedom. So Why don't you tell them exactly? I'm a volunteer. I basically speak to the women. There's a part of the Global Peace Foundation. There's Global Peace Women. So I actually speak internationally with this group, and I help with some family issues and some.
Yeah.
They've asked me to do some training and maybe write a little children's book on peace. But anyway.
I've even been to North Korea. I spent 2 weeks there.
Wow.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was invited. I went
Wow.
as a Christian delegation.
Wow.
Kim
Bless you.
Il-sung was raised as a Christian, and his mother used to teach him the Bible on his knee, and then
Amazing.
he went to Moscow and went the other way, became a Saul. And this friend of mine was born in the same village as Kim Il-sung, managed to get a message to Kim Il-sung, and through that, Billy Graham went over there, and Jimmy Carter went over,
Yeah.
and then I got invited as I went for the UPI radio networks. It was a very bizarre experience.
You never cease to amaze me. You've done so many. He's done some
Exactly.
interesting things.
Yeah.
Dan, you have.
But tell us, is it the Korean side you're particularly interested in?
We're focusing most of our attention right now on the
North
Korean Peninsula,
Yeah.
reuniting the Korean Peninsula.
Oh, okay.
And because if we can accomplish that, we'll have something really tangible to because we believe that it's possible to do this peacefully, without bloodshed, and that's our prayer. Because the people in North Korea are in terrible straits. It is not a good thing for them. The human right violations that are taking place up there is appalling. It is. It's a bad situation. So, South Korea at this point doesn't have a lot of desire for the reunification of the peninsula at this point. And the reason for that is most of the family members who are divided in what was that, 54?
Yeah,
50 with the
Korean War.
at the end of the Korean War.
Yeah.
Most of their families now are great grandparents, and so what our goal is to reignite the desire to reunify the peninsula. So especially among young people. So what we've done is we've hosted some K-pop concerts. With that are titled K1 for One Korea, and then these K-pop stars are all talking about let's reunify the peninsula,
Bringing attention to the next generations.
because so we'll get close to 100,000 young people, meaning meaning like 20 and under, to attend these things, and they see their heroes saying One Korea, let's reunify the Korea, and it's igniting the dream. So.
And I was going to say, and we work with this is, like I said, interfaith, Muslims, Hindus, Jews,
Buddhists in Korea.
And we just insert Jesus. We just insert Jesus to all these meetings.
I mean, everybody treats each other with the dignity that each religion deserves without saying you all believe the same. You don't, be honest. But dignity with each other, you can accomplish that. And evidently you're doing that. That's wonderful. I love that.
Thank you.
Tell us about your son, Bobby. I interviewed him at the MLB. Was it 2 years ago when he started the Hour of Power again?
I think he stepped into the pulpit at the Hour of Power.
Maybe 3 years.
Around
4 years ago.
2 years ago.
I want to say no longer.
No longer.
Oh, right.
I want to say probably 2011 or 2012. And
probably 2012.
And where do they meet now for the services?
so I think they're just getting ready to move. When the cathedral was sold in 2012, I think it was, then he rented the Catholic facility, and they swapped facilities, which were a block apart, on one particular Sunday. And they've been meeting there for the last few years, and they just now, I think he announced it last week in church, that they're moving to Irvine, California. They are joining the PCUSA, Presbyterian Church in Irvine. And I think they're going to move onto that campus in the next few weeks.
Good.
They needed a place in
That's
the
good.
Irvine Presbyterian Church needed a congregation. So
okay.
it's sort of a merger.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a good
And he
thing.
needed a church.
He needed a church.
He needed facilities, and they
love
needed
it.
a congregation.
There you
So,
And how did the TV program resurrect, as it were?
well, it never really died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They
So,
were still showing a lot of the programs? And
well, mainly on cable now.
Yeah.
yeah.
When I was there, we had 97 local channels, and we had 2 major cable networks. I think they still have the 2 major cable networks.
Yeah.
And that allows them to, and then I think they have
continue, yeah.
the local LA channel as well.
Well, this has all gone too quickly. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's been wonderful to meet up again with Robert and Donna. Robert, what's the Umbrella website then?
So, unfortunately, it's a little more confusing than I'd like it to be, because we have the Facebook, which is not associated with everything else, and that's Robert Schuller Ministries. Then we have Robert Schuller Inspiration, where I have classes available. Currently, we have one class which is entitled 10 Steps to Emotional Healing. The next
Based on the 23rd Psalm.
based on the 23rd Psalm. Soon we'll have our second class, which is Vital Living, Add Years to Your Life and Life to Years with God's Health Plan. And I'll also be putting up there the best of Robert Schuller from the Crystal Cathedral. So I'll have some of those on there. And that's robertschulerinspiration.com. And then just for general information regarding different things, we have robertschullerministries.org.
And Donna, are you under that umbrella
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
So they can find out all about...
RobertSchullerMinistries.org.
Yeah,
Yes.
wonderful.
Okay.
Gary,
And the
you-
global? Is that a,
Global Peace Foundation is the name of the organization that we are very involved in as
Wonderful.
part of our Christian mission.
great.
Gary, your website?
AM for peace, AM the number 4 peace.com.
So check that out. And my website is assistnews.net. If you would like prayer, call 877-588-1664. And email is info@hsbn.tv. I want to thank you for joining us. And especially I want to thank Robert and Donna and Gary, of course, for being together with us and having such a challenging, interesting program. So we'll see you next time on Windows on the World.
The preceding program was brought to you by the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network, HSBN Television.